Hi everyone. Today in this video let us discuss about the acetazolamide and let us discuss how this drug acts, what are the side effects and clinical use of acetazolamide. What is this drug? Acetazolamide is one of the drugs which acts as a diuretic, but surprisingly it is not a strong diuretic. Similarly, this drug can act as an anti-epileptic, and again it is not used for all types of epilepsy. Then what is the acetazolamide? So acetazolamide acts as a mild diuretic and it can also be used as an anti-epileptic because it is going to decrease the neuronal excitation. So it can be used in few of the conditions like the infantile epilepsy or epilepsy produced during the menstrual cycle. In such conditions, the acetazolamide can be used as an anti-epileptic, but it is mainly used as a mild diuretic. So today in this video, let us see how this drug acts and how it is useful in these clinical settings. First of all, let us see the structure of the acetazolamide. So if you see the structure, we can observe here one of the functional group. This is nothing but the sulfonamide. So acetazolamide chemically a sulfonamide, but on the other side you can observe another functional group. This is the carboxamide. So now the acetazolamide is having the sulfonamide as well as carboxamide, but which should be given preference? The carboxamide should be given preference, and here we can start the numbering from this carbon 1, 2. So simply it is a acetamide. Now we can write the name of this acetazolamide. The suffix is nothing but the acetamide. Acetazolamide is a acetamide derivative, and on the nitrogen it is having a heterocyclic side chain, and we can start the numbering to this heterocyclic ring. So this is 1. Then where we have to give the second number, either to the sulfonamide or to the nitrogen of the acetamide. So here we have to give the least number to the point of attachment. So this is 2, 3, 4 and 5. In this way we can complete the numbering to this acetazolamide. Now this acetazolamide is having a side chain on the nitrogen, which is nothing but the 1,3,4-thiadiazole 2-yle. So this ring system is attached by second position. So we can write this as N-1,3,4-thiadiazole 2-yle. And this ring is having a sulfonamide moiety at the fifth position, so which we can write it as 5-sulfamoyl. So acetazolamide is simply N-5-sulfamoyl 1,3,4-thiadiazole 2-yle acetamide. In this way, acetazolamide is a acetamide derivative having the sulfonamide moiety on the heterocyclic ring. And now let us see how this drug acts as a mild diuretic. Acetazolamide is acting on the proximal convoluted tubule of the nephron. And at the PCT, whatever the sodium bicarbonate which is present in the filtrate is going to be reabsorbed into the systemic circulation. But it is not reabsorbed as it is. This sodium bicarbonate can be split into two components, sodium and bicarbonate. This sodium can be absorbed into the tubular membrane by one of the pump, sodium proton exchange pump. So sodium is going into the membrane and proton is going to be coming into the lumen. Now this proton can combine with the bicarbonate anion such that it is going to form the carbonic acid H2CO3. This carbonic acid is not transported as it is, but it can be split into two components, that is a water and carbon dioxide, and this reaction requires an enzymatic activity, and here the carbonic anhydrase can split this carbonic acid into water and carbon dioxide. Now this water and carbon dioxide can easily pass through the membrane and it can enter into the tubular membrane where they are reconverted into carbonic acid. So now this water and carbon dioxide are reconverted into carbonic acid by the same enzyme, carbonic anhydrase enzyme. In this way, we can see that the carbonic acid is now present in the tubular membrane in an indirect way. Now it can be split into again the proton and bicarbonate. Now everything is ready. Sodium and bicarbonate both are present within the tubular membrane of the PCT. Then they can be reabsorbed where the sodium is reabsorbed along with the bicarbonate anion. In this way, sodium bicarbonate is going to be reabsorbed into the systemic circulation by the action of the carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So here acetazolamide is one of the drugs which is going to block this carbonic anhydrase enzyme, thereby it inhibits the reabsorption of the sodium and bicarbonate. In this way, acetazolamide can inhibit the reabsorption of the sodium bicarbonate and it can increase the sodium bicarbonate excretion in the urine, which makes the urine alkaline in nature. What are the actions? Now already we have seen that acetazolamide is going to inhibit the carbonic anhydrase enzyme activity at the proximal convoluted tubule. thereby it increase the sodium bicarbonate excretion. And we know that sodium bicarbonate is not the major electrolyte in our body fluids. Sodium chloride is the main electrolyte. So by excretion of the sodium bicarbonate, the urine becomes alkaline, but the urinary volume is not excessively increased, just like the loop diuretics. Loop diuretics are going to increase the sodium chloride excretion, which results in the large volumes of the urinary excretion. But here, the estrozolamide is only resulting in the increased excretion of sodium bicarbonate, which results in a mild diuresis. That's why estrozolamide is a mild diuretic. And because of this condition, this is not used in the treatment of severe edema, but it can be used in the edema associated with the heart failure. Otherwise, this drug can also be used in the treatment of epilepsy, where the estrozolamide can decrease the neuronal transmission within the CNS by reducing the bicarbonate levels. The action of the estrozolamide in the epilepsy can also be attributed to the, again, inhibitory effect on the carbonic anhydrase enzyme within the CNS. When this enzyme is inhibited, it results in the decreased activity of the bicarbonate and proton ion channels. And as the proton channels are not working, the chloride channels are going to more open, resulting in the inhibition of the neurotransmission. So that's why estrozolamide can decrease the epileptic seizures in few of the conditions, particularly like infantile epilepsy or seizures during the menstrual cycle. But actually these are not the two important indications of the estrozolamide, but estrozolamide is used for the two other indications. So already we have seen that it is going to increase the sodium bicarbonate excretion. As the sodium bicarbonate is more excreted, it results in the decreased intraocular pressure. So that's why the estrozolamide is used in the treatment of glaucoma. And with increased sodium bicarbonate excretion, this also results in the decreased intracranial pressure. So this drug can be used in the treatment of mountain sickness. So these are the two important indications of the estrozolamide. Now let us see the role of the estrozolamide in the treatment of glaucoma. What is glaucoma? Glaucoma is a condition where there is an increased intraocular pressure, and sometimes this intraocular pressure can be increased greater than 25 mm of Hg. And when there is an excessive increase in the intraocular pressure, it produces some pain and pressure in the anterior chamber of the eye, which can cause some blurred vision. And if it is not treated, it can lead to the progressive loss of vision. In such conditions, we can use the estrozolamide. So estrozolamide can specifically act on the eye, and it inhibits the carbonic anhydrase enzyme within the anterior chamber of the eye. Thereby, it can decrease the aqueous humor formation within the eye. So as the aqueous humor is not formed, it can reduce the intraocular pressure. So that's why this estrozolamide can be given in the open angular glaucoma, where it can be used at a dose of 500 mg twice daily. Now let us see the role of estrozolamide in the treatment of mountain sickness. So mountain sickness is observed when the person is going to travel to the higher altitudes. So at the higher altitudes, because of the change in the atmospheric pressures, the bronchioles are not completely working, which results in somewhat difficulty in breathing. And as the oxygen supply is going to be reduced, it results in the respiratory alkalosis. The carbon dioxide is going to be more accumulated, which results in the more formation of the bicarbonate, resulting in the respiratory alkalosis. At the same time, the intracranial pressure also increases because of the change in the atmospheric pressure and disturbance in the vestibular system. Now this estrozolamide can inhibit the carbonic anhydrase enzyme, thereby it can increase the sodium bicarbonate excretion. So this results in the excretion of the bicarbonate, which is normally producing the respiratory alkalosis during the mountain sickness. And as the carbonic anhydrase is going to be inhibited, this also results in the decreased cerebrospinal fluid formation. So both of these actions can reduce the respiratory alkalosis and decrease the intracranial pressure. That's why estrozolamide can be used in the treatment of mountain sickness. And this drug should be immediately given after the symptoms of this mountain sickness in order to reduce this respiratory alkalosis and increased intracranial pressure. And particularly at this condition, estrozolamide can be given at a dose of 500 to 1000 mg in order to relieve the symptoms. What are the side effects? This drug acts as a mild diuretic, and it can also produce few of the central side effects like the headache, dizziness, lightheadedness. This lightheadedness is one of the important side effects of the estrozolamide. and it can also produce some flushing, fatigue in the patients. And apart from these side effects, this drug can also produce some nausea and vomiting and diarrhea, which are the gastrointestinal side effects observed with the estrogelamide. We can also observe few of the other side effects like the blurred vision, dry mouth, which are some anticholinergic like side effects. Loss of appetite is also observed with the estrogelamide when it is used for the treatment of glaucoma. And paresthesias, the loss of sensation, is one more side effect that can be observed with the estrogelamide. It can produce some tingling sensation, so which should be carefully checked when the estrogelamide is used for a prolonged period. How it is given? Estrogelamide is available as a capsule at different doses around 125, 250 and 500 mg. But 500 mg capsules are mainly used for treatment of glaucoma. They are given twice daily. And it is also available as an IV solution, which is available as a dry powder for reconstitution. And it is again available at a dose of 500 mg. In this way, estrogelamide acts as a mild diuretic and it decreases the intraocular pressure. Thereby, it can be used in the treatment of glaucoma. And it also decreases the intracranial pressure and inhibits the respiratory alkalosis by increased excretion of the sodium bicarbonate. And because of this, it can be used in the treatment of mountain sickness. And apart from this drug can also decrease the neuronal excitation by decreasing the carbon dioxide levels within the CNS, which improves the oxygen supply. Thereby, it is also used as an anti-epileptic in few of the conditions. Particularly, it can be used in the infantile epilepsy or epilepsy during the menstrual cycle. In such conditions, the estrogelamide can be used. And all these actions of estrogelamide are mainly because of its competitive inhibitory action on the carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So that's for today. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, share this video with your friends, post your comments in the comment box. Thank you for watching this video.